Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and we are going to continue with this nerd math series. We were talking about the decision tree, essentially, of double clean and press and double front squats. This is the second video in this series where we're discussing the nerdiest possible math to determine your program for double clean and press and double front squat. Double clean and press and double front squat are kind of like your creme de la creme basic bodybuilding exercises in kettlebell. If you want to be really huge or put on muscle mass, then these would be the exercises you would use to accomplish that task. Also, double snatch can also be applied into this math. It's a little bit harder on people, so usually they have to start with lighter weights in order to pull it off without ripping their spine in half. But this math generally works out. We are considering this like barbell, but barbell that you cannot micro-load. The weights are fixed is what separates it from barbell. Also, I think the kettlebell equivalents are a lot meaner, but that's just me. In a previous video, we talked about 2K jumps, and what we did was we took the weight times the number of sets, times the number of reps, and we got a work capacity. And then we decided which order we were going to go in based on the ascending order of work capacity, starting with the lowest, building up each change. And that caused us to do some jumps like light, light, medium, heavy, light, heavy, medium, and it jumped around. And it was predicted by the total work capacity. Let's now take a look at kind of a fun math thing. So the original way that kettlebells came to America, as I learned them from Pavel, was with the 16, the 24, and the 32. Those were your options. That was it. That's where we originally got this concept of light, medium, and heavy weights. And in RKC, they used to have a rolling wave where you would do 16s one day, 24 one day, and 32 the next day, and you would do it like 6 days a week. And people play with this idea over and over and over again. I take and I apply that idea to tons of stuff. Light, medium, heavy, and then light 1, light 2, medium 1, medium 2, heavy 1, heavy 2, light for kettlebells, or light heavy for kettlebells, light medium for clubs. The idea gets bigger. It's fractal. It keeps going. But let's look at these classic jumps. 2 16K, 2 24K, 2 32K, treating this like barbell. We're going to do something fun here just for illustrative purposes. Instead of treating the number of reps always the same at, say, sets of 5, we are going to do sets of 4, and we are going to do sets of 3. Classic strength training protocols run between 3 and 5 reps. That's why we have those numbers. You get above 5 reps, you start getting into different types of math because you stop being pure strength training somewhere above 5 and you start becoming other types of programming. Same thing with 3. Below 3, you start getting into maxing out, and we are not interested in maxing out with kettlebells, which is different from a lot of other forms of training, as we are trying to survive. We are trying to keep gas in the tank, as I believe Pavel used to call it. Or was that Sonnen? I can't remember. We're trying to not max out. Because these things come originally to us through Pavel and from military applications, you didn't try to hit your max because you still had other stuff to do that day. So we're always trying to train sub-maximally, and we would consider this to be like an 80% idea and this to be like a 60% idea. The math on that can vary up and down, of course. It's not perfect. It's the concept. If it was barbells, it could be perfect. So let's look at this. We've taken from 3 sets of 5 to 10 sets of 5, 3 sets of 4 to 10 sets of 4, 3 sets of 3 to 10 sets of 3. The way we work around not being able to micro-load is volume cycles. And because we are pushing what we consider heavier weights more in strength training, we're making our breaks longer. You could do this with 1-minute breaks and it would start to change it a little bit. You wouldn't be able to push as much weight. If you did this as an every 3-minute on every 3-minute cycle, you set a timer for 3 minutes, you did your reps, and then you set the weight down and waited for the round to end. 3 minutes is better if you're trying to push more weight. Because you have more break, you will recover more, you'll push more weight, you'll get more development. 2 minutes is kind of a compromise one. Because you got to think about how long it takes to do 5 reps. 5 good, clean, perfect reps. 4 good, clean, perfect reps, or 3 good, clean, perfect reps. I'm assuming about 30 seconds no matter what, and so you should have a 2.5-minute break in between. Here's some fun stuff. So here we have 3 sets of 5, and our work capacity is 480 kilograms. Then we have 3 sets of 4, 576 kilogram. This is kind of the fun part. 3 sets of 3 with the 32s is 576. These 2 columns are exactly the same number-wise. 576, 576, 768, 768, 960, 960, 1152, 1152. This program writes itself. Light, medium, heavy, and it would go 480, 576, 576, start over, 640, 768, 768, start over, 800, 960, 960. This is just something funny that happens with the classic weights of RKC. And so this program would just write itself straight across and you would run it in series. If you weren't doing anything else super crazy, then you could turn this into a Monday, Wednesday, Friday program and repeat it for X number of weeks. And then if you wanted to put a step down week, you would do it after every, that's 3 weeks. You would do it after every 4 weeks, and you would do a step down week where you would intentionally do 50% of the work that you had been doing. You would still lift, but you would drop it down to 50% so that you're still moving and staying active, but you're not pushing the heavier numbers. That's one simple way to do it. There are other ways to do it. Here's a funny thing. If you were to change these sets of 5 to sets of 6 all the way down, then the numbers become exactly the same all the way across. This becomes 576. This becomes 768. This becomes 960. So 3 sets of 6 at half the weight becomes exactly the same as 3 sets of 3. Are they the same? No, they're not. This one's still harder. Lifting heavier weights is harder. So we're using the idea of work capacity as a general concept, but lifting heavier weights is harder than lifting lighter weights. But if this was 3 sets of 6, 3 sets of 4, and 3 sets of 3, and the work capacity was the same each week, these would still have different effects on the body because this would be sets of 6 and you would be under tension for a different amount of time. This is a fun way to run this program. It's kind of a math nerd way to run it, but it's fun. I like it. It's kind of a fun trick, and I think that it's interesting that the original weights do that. We're going to continue to talk about this idea because this is a lot of fun stuff. This is the stuff that they don't teach you in training school, which they really, really should teach you in training school. A method to decide what's most important when. We're starting light, we're going to medium, we're going to heavy. The work capacity is still increasing. If it was sets of 6, the work capacity would be the same, but you would be doing the same amount of work all week and you would be greasing the groove in a weird way because you would still be altering weights. The more weights you work with, the more rep schemes you work with, usually the better you get. And there's part of that is a psychological benefit, part of that is a neurological benefit. And you can think about it any way you want. But what we're trying to do with all of these nerd math videos is to provide you with a way to start thinking about this stuff. I don't know why nobody else talks about this. This is the important part. This is kind of the most important part in training, not the program itself, why the program is designed the way it's designed. And there's only a few people that I will personally listen to about program design because they're the only ones who actually have a plan like this. If there's a plan like this, then I will listen to them. Over at Combate Fitness, my buddy JP, world-class triathlete, does very similar stuff. They just do it with barbell. I don't travel around with a giant barbell with me, but I do travel with 2 kettlebells. Therefore, I think about this math a lot more. If you're training at home outside of the gym, then this is what you should be familiar with. If you're a trainer, you should be super familiar with this idea. And this is how you should plan your programs to keep from killing people and to keep them advancing and getting more and more and more out of training. These ideas do eventually break down because you will get to a point where you can no longer go up on the scale, and then you have to jump program ideas to continue to get benefit. That's what coaches do. We run a program, we write it down, we figure it out. We figure out how far it's going to go. Our goal is to stop that program before it kills somebody, and then come up with another program in order to keep them moving forward in a different way. Different math, different goals, different focus. Could be a bunch of different things. You could change plane of motion, you could change exercises, you could do a bunch of things. But those are the things that you should be thinking about.